Hi, I'm Kate Barattini, and I am a creative misfit.
So where did you kind of begin all this? Because I know that you said you started kind of recently getting into art, and that was never really your intention, but it just kind of happened that way.
Yeah, my mom is an artist, and so I grew up with her just like always encouraging that. I think that, I especially now that I have like a niece who is very similar to how I was when I was a kid, which was just kind of like really emotional. I think it's a good way to put it. Not, and when I say emotional, I don't mean like bad emotions, but just that like I had all the feels.
Right.
So like if anything was good, it was like so good. And if it was bad, it was just like the world was ending. So I think that my parents were always down to like if I showed any sort of interest in anything, they supported it. So I mean, every single Christmas I would get some kind of an art kit. And then the school district I was in is up in York, South Carolina, and
Mhm.
I'm not sure if they still do this program, but I hope they do through Winthrop University called Starts. And it's something that sixth graders try out for. And they get to do it the summer of their sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade years. But they're doing like intro level college art courses in your chosen major of drama or music, visual art, and dance. And so I was fortunate to be able to do that program. It was 100% funded by the county. And I mean, we were using like really nice markers. And I mean, granted, we weren't using the nicest paint, but we were using really nice
Yeah.
paint. And, we got to do, I mean, just everything from, you know, doing our own like stop animation to working with film to
Wow.
doing like mixed media, having live models and still lifes, and I mean just every single type of visual art that you could imagine. That program allowed us to do it. um, so I think because of that I just had a lot of confidence whenever it came to visual art. And I always loved cartoons. um, and then, yeah, I went through a really, sad breakup with a guy that had a battle with mental illness. And we had to be separated for a while. And I think to kind of get me through that is why I started the whole animal shred thing. And it was just kind of this series that was based in an idea of like wanting things to look as real as possible, but then have this kind of like tongue in cheek, goofy aspect to it. Um, and I mean, that's really like why I did it. But now, I just realized that I want to keep surfing and surfing on the East Coast means you have to have a lot of free time. So, um, so yeah, being able to kind of like develop a successful career in art led me to reading a lot of books and like the business of art. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from those books is that you just kind of have to like keep doing one thing consistently. You can
Mhm.
go off and do other things if you want, but like if you do it consistently and you keep showing people that like I do plants, or like I'm the lady that changes people's heads with plants and animals,
Right.
to where somebody could see a piece and be like, oh, that's probably that girl.
Right.
um, so I think that's kind of where I'm at now, and fortunately I really really like doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Building your brand. I recently saw a guy, a video of a guy on YouTube, and he was talking about creativity. If you're spreading yourself too thin and thinking like, I'll do a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this, then you're only going to rise to like this level. Versus if you can put all of your power and your thought into this one idea, then it can grow infinitely. And
Hmm.
but in order to get to that spot, like that, you can be blocked in your brain to think that you're being productive, but because you're thinking about things a lot, like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
I've got this idea. and then you're developing it in your mind instead of actually doing it on paper or whatever surface, you know. And so he was his tactic was to draw the same thing every day,
Hmm.
and not to think too much about it, but to just be creating every day and doing the same thing and having that develop into something.
I think being a creative, it's tough to accept what you have to offer and know that if you're offering anything and it's generally like a good thing, then you keep doing it, you know. I think there's so many artists that I've met that deal a lot with anxiety, and I think that's just like being a human, is that you're
Right.
gonna have anxiety because you're putting yourself out there in some way, you know. And then if you're not putting yourself out there in some way, you're like anxious about doing anything, I guess. I
Right.
don't know. But that I remember one day I was driving home from my parents' house. They live like 3 hours away. And I was like, man, you know what? You are being so lazy. Like, you're just not doing anything, you know? And how can you expect to be successful if you're not working at all, you
Mhm.
know? And so I think after that, I just like, started painting more for the heck of it. And, I'm really grateful for the iPad and like being able to do stuff digitally, because it's like, kind of like what that guy, doing the same thing every day. It's like I was just like, having all these ideas. And I mean, with Instagram, there's so many surfers posting gorgeous photos of themselves. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that would look great with a tomato head, or that would look awesome, with the snake plant head or celery, or, anything. It's just nice to be able to like, all right, I'm just going to draw it up really quickly. I say really quickly, probably like 2 or 3 hours. and then,
Yeah.
and then it's done and it's gone and I can share it. And it doesn't matter. Like, I think that was another big thing, is that like with Instagram and sharing things, that it was like, hey, like share it and don't worry about if people like it or comment on it, because, back to my other point, is just that like it's a good thing. It doesn't hurt to put it out there. And
Mhm.
all it's doing is just like, just hopefully it makes a few people smile or laugh, because it's kind of goofy.
Right.
So yeah, I always try to tell myself that it's like not a bad thing. Just share it. It's fine.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're creating, and yeah, just that in and of itself is the success.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because I think when you keep it inside, then it's just yours and it's no one else's. And that, why keep it for yourself, unless that makes you feel good. But
Right.
I don't know. For me, I shouldn't keep it to myself.
Well, when you're creating, you said you so are these photos of surfers that like you know personally, or do you take do you get ideas from folks that you don't know?
Well, fortunately, because I've done a few contests in the longboarding world that were a little more high profile, I do actually know a lot of the surfers that I've been painting, but
Cool.
mostly the shortboarders, I don't know them.
Gotcha.
But a lot of the longboarders, I'm grateful to say I do know them. And unrelated, that's been a really fun thing to experience.
Mhm.
I never thought that I would enjoy doing contests, but um it's a pretty cool thing, just like have all these people from all over the world that come to one place, and they're all just doing their own thing, and broke, super broke, and trying to surf as much as they can.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's a great community.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I honestly never thought that I would say it, but I cannot wait for contests to come back just to see everybody again. A friend, not a friend. Well, she's a part of my family, but it's like she's pretty much through through my stepsister. She's related to me, and I
Mhm.
love her. She's amazing, and she is a creative writing, like in school for creative writing,
Mhm.
and she had never read Tom Robbins.
Holy
I
cow!
know, I know. And I was like, whoa. So I sent her the Gateway. I just sent her Jitterbug Perfume, and
There
I
you
hope that
go.
she gets some time off to read it. Yeah.
So our founder, Farah, who's a close friend of mine, she's the one who got me into Tom Robbins, and so she donated a piece, and it's a beet, and so she painted it with some beet juice and ink, and yeah.
Oh, so much truth in that.
Yeah.
Come out like a beat. That's almost like the epitome of being a creative misfit, right? Is
Right. There you go.
get tossed up through the guts of the system and still come out red.
Juicy red. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
But,
Tom Robbins, the ultimate creative misfit.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I would say he represents it for sure. So I'm working with enough pie right now on the columns.
Dude, I'm doing one too.
Really? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I unfortunately, am not finished.
Oh, neither am I. It always takes longer than you expect, and just
Oh yeah. But I just think about, I mean, if you look at how incredibly organized that she has everything, so much respect for that. I can't imagine working with, I mean, how many artists are working on that EP project?
dude,
So,
yeah.
and like Bianca, I mean, to get the artist kits together, to get all of the times with COVID, just, I mean, I'm I'm I want to just like hug her so hard and be like, dude, I just want you to know that I absolutely see how difficult this is. You were hurting cats.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I know, especially working with a number of artists or musicians or anybody in the creative field, I feel it has a very similar mindset. And so time is not ever of the essence.
And the cats have the best of intentions.
Yeah,
They want to do it.
right.
It's just getting all those cats together is hard.
I know. Yeah, it's true. But I
Yeah,
love
but
it.
seeing those columns is awesome. I can't
It's
wait
so
to
cool.
have it all finished.
Yeah. Well, and so we actually had folks from Heart going to prep them every week and painting the
Cool.
light blue on the back and like cleaning them and stuff so they could be a part of it. Because the intention originally was to have our artists do the painting on one of the columns, but I think with all the regulations that developed through the city that it just became too much of a technical task for them
Yeah,
to participate in the mural aspect of it. But doing the prep work was perfect, and so they got to have their hands on almost every column out there.
that's
And
awesome.
yeah, but by saying that, we got to go out every week, so we got to kind of see it grow as each artist like took on a new column. So that was
Oh wow.
really awesome. Another question that I had was for your animal shred, or I guess for that all in general, like, are you inspired by the surfer or inspired by the vegetable or animal, or like do you match them up together, or is it more so just the position?
It's equal for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think like um a lot of it is out of reverence for the natural world, and I think that the surfing element is more, I don't know, like I guess that's the thing, is like surfing is such a wonderful like natural experience,
Yeah.
that's a good binder between the human animal, because we have separated ourselves completely.
Mhm.
And it would be nice to acknowledge that separation, and so I guess it's like I think that's the thing. Whenever you see animals talking, like any sort of like artistic or creative work, whether it's like in writing or anything, like think about Ishmael, right? Connecting to an animal on that level.
Mhm.
I guess it's just like an acknowledgement of the desire to just not disrespect it so much anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, like, I'm very, very optimistic about our future with the natural world. And I think that that our history is so plagued with this idea that we were given it to use, to just take apart and make it something that it wasn't necessarily designed to do. But and like at the same time, you have to marvel at what we have done, because I mean, everything. Like, you look at like the history of water and what we've done to rivers. Like, I mean, we dammed the Columbia River, which is a massive watershed with so much water flowing through it. And we damned it. Like, that's insane. Like, what an incredible feat. But it wasn't necessarily like the coolest thing to do. I mean, it's pretty remarkable that we could do it, but I hope that we can like take that energy, that kind of willpower to make something like that happen, and do something way more responsible with it.
Yeah.
And that energy is there, and that energy is going to exist in generations beyond ours, And so, I don't know if we're going to see it, but I do think that there's going to be a time when we do responsible things with the willpower that we've always had.
That's great. That's like you.
Well, best of luck. I am so amped for you guys. I think you'll make all the money, and I know that Heart's going to thrive for a really long time, because kind of the same thing that we were talking about. It's just something that is done with good intention, and it just has to be. It has to exist.
It's got to.
Yeah. And Sierra, I don't know if you heard this part, but I know that it's got to be really tiring trying to organize all of this, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kate. But having your enthusiasm kick us off as like our first donor, and just you're amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, like, everything is made easier by having Ray involved. So.
All right, man. Y'all have a beautiful day.
Thank you too, Kate.
Bye.